Kennimac awoke in a panic, the pain in his hand from the sting of the winged beast still aching. He rolled over and looked to see the tiny red lizard hovering above him, a cross look on its face and a pendant he tried to steal from the tree hollow dangling in its claws. He felt rather than heard in his mind, "Shiny! Mine! You rude!" He blew a raspberry and fluttered off. He shrugged and felt like something was missing. Like, that could've and should've gone a lot worse. G'day, I'm James from Zalgariath Gaming, and this is Creature Feature, where we gaze in wonder at a D&D 5e monster and see what ticks it off. Today we are of course dissecting the 2025 Monster Manual changes to the Pseudodragon, and trust me, you want one as a familiar. But first, a quick aside as to why I chose it as the subject of this week's video. In an interview I once watched with Jeremy Crawford, one of 5e's lead designers, he mentioned that some ridiculously high percentage of players on the D&D platform they polled had never actually encountered a dragon during a session of play. Initially, this seemed absurd. I mean, without dragons, you're just playing dungeons, and that's a whole different game, which we're not going to go into today. But we digress. With the release of the first dedicated adventure module for the revised rules coming out this month, Dragon Delves, D&D are taking steps to ensure that the titular creature are front and center of the new Not You 5.24 Rules Edition. I think this was a good move, and I can't wait to get my hands on a copy. But you know, Australia doesn't actually exist, and it takes a while for even magical books to find their way here, so I'll just have to hug my copy of Fizzbands until that beautiful new tome arrives. Don't worry, you're not going anywhere. I think one of the reasons a lot of players have never met a dragon is that the D&D Beyond stats tell us most games are played at low levels, with the terrible lizards being usually typecast by DMs as big bad boss fight material. They often get overlooked in the early stages of a new adventure, and let's face it, how many campaigns that you play in actually make it all the way to the super cool ending where the winged breath weapon of doom boss beast is waiting for you? Yeah, not that many. If you missed Monster Week back in April by Ginny D and Pointy Hat, and don't worry, I did as well, I only started broadcasting in May, I'll link the playlist below as they have a bunch of dragon-focused videos to give you ideas of how to incorporate these most magical of marvelous creatures into your games regardless of the level of your players. As I only started producing D&D content recently, I missed that window, but hey, I'll try and join in next year. But here is my belated entry to that cool list of community projects, and of course, it will be on the Pseudodragon. Now back to the regularly scheduled creature feature formula, where we'll see where the changes from 2014 to 2025 monster manuals kick in. These tiniest members of the Draconic family are often associated with being familiars to good aligned arcane spellcasters. Highly intelligent and fickle, some would say it's more likely the Pseudodragon regards the wizard as their familiar instead of the other way around. I mean, it kind of makes sense. The wizard servant feeds them, finds some shiny treats, and one would imagine clean up their magical rainbow poop, so
who's the master now, human?
Oh wait, that was all correct except for the scatology, where I was getting confused with their chaotic butterflied winged fey cousins, the fairy dragons. These neutral guys, pseudos, ironically, look like tiny red dragons with a poisonous barb on their tail that hangs around only so long as it suits them and the gifts keep on flowing. While on the topic of them being familiars, just remember you can't actually get a Pseudodragon by using the Find Familiar spell unless you are a Pact of the Chain Warlock. And honestly, if I was a Pseudodragon, I'd have some real consent issues over that particular subclass. But yeah, moving on. To acquire one, you'd need to find, then persuade one of the little critters to joining you and your party, being in their best interests. In fact, in the 2025 Monster Manual, there's even a cool motivation table that you can roll on to see exactly what it's going to take to convince the dragon to sign up to the highest tier level of your Patreon, or you to theirs as the case may be. This could be a fun side quest that comes with two big risks. Firstly, a found familiar is not under your control the way a summoned familiar is. Treated mean, and it will not be keen to hang around and could bugger off at any time at the DM's discretion. Pseudodragons are intelligent creatures with a score of 10 that's comparable to a commoner, and, consent issues sorted, they will have their own goals and personalities, which is great for roleplay compared to the less intelligent and unquestioning obedient beast the spell version summons. And while Pseudodragons can't speak per se, you'll enjoy feeling what they sense with limited telepathy within 100 feet, making them great partners in crime, I mean adventuring. Secondly, if a summoned familiar dies, no sweat. You recast the spell and they come bouncing back. They are spirits in animal form and basically immortal. D&D is really vague on what the spirits are, but we're not going to put that question to bed. A found familiar dies and it's done for, short of magical revival. It technically doesn't even get death saving throws unless you have a really nice DM. And no, Seeps, I am not spending another 500 gold piece diamond to revive your suicidal mini dragon again. Sadly, however, the best reason for seeking out a Pseudodragon in the 2014 rules now no longer applies technically in the new ones. But if you are staying with the 2014 version, get one now, because it comes with one of the most OP familiar abilities that you can acquire, magic resistance. While that may be of limited use to a tiny CR1/4 dragon, if they're within 10 feet of you, you share the magic resistance. And my giggles should give away just how bonkers that is. Normally, this is a trait reserved as an epic boon feat. It's also available to higher level abjuration wizards and some fringe playable species that may or may not be allowed at your table. This makes hunting down a Pseudodragon Familiar very rewarding, and you could always ask your benevolent DM if you could incorporate this rule into the 2024 version as an option, but no, that's not happening at my table, because I don't like fun or losing. So good luck with that. Right, you've encountered your tiny buddy Drake, won it over to your cause. This is not meant to be a rules dive on familiars, but at my table at least, adding a familiar in this way is not the same as a spell. We highlighted the main disadvantage about having a squishy buddy is that they could come to a nasty end, but the big advantage comes with the trade-off, they can attack. I treat found familiars more like bonded pets, so a summoned version doesn't have the attack action, a found familiar does. They are their own creatures, but with a special relationship to the caster that they've partnered with. The player can give them directions, track them, roll their dice, but ultimately they have their own initiative and they are an NPC creature controlled by the DM. Depending on how a player treats their found familiar will depend on when I, as a DM, step in to suggest that perhaps no, Mini Rex doesn't want to fly into the face of the fire giant and go for the eyes, Rex, go for the eyes! Because it has a healthy sense of self-preservation and you've been feeding it nothing but good berries for the past month, if you remembered to feed it at all. However, once in combat, the 2024 Pseudo is much more effective than its predecessor. Well, relatively for a CR1/4 creature, that is. A 60-foot fly speed is proper quick, and both HP 7 to 10 and AC 13 to 14 are slight buffs to their survivability. They are sneaky little buggers with a +4 to stealth and make great scouts, and as has been a common theme in the 2025 Monster Manual, they've lost the keen senses ability in favor to a proficiency boost to their perception from +3 to +5, giving it a 15 passive. And again, I like those changes, it helps simplify the stat block a little. Here is another often overlooked feature, especially for the magically visionally impaired. Pseudodragons have both 60 feet dark vision and 10 feet of blind sight, which they can telepathically communicate to their masters, meaning, hurrah for halflings, dragonborns, and humans, you've just got permanent dark vision with a healthy dose of being able to see targets that are invisible as your creature acts as a portable echolocation beacon around the battlefield, relaying the unseen world to your stupid sun-adjusted eyes that it normally can't fathom. While not built for combat, should your Pseudodragon feel brave and rush to aid in your battle, they also are a lot more capable than previously, starting with multi-attack, doubling their bitiness. It's only 1d4 plus 2 piercing, but at least they get 2 chomps at the kobold now. Much more interesting is their sting from the tail attack. No multi on this one, but whereas in 2014 it only did 1d4 plus 2 damage with a DC 11 con save to avoid the poison condition, which, mind you, did have a chance of getting the unconscious condition if they failed really badly. 2025 Sting is now a DC 12 Suck and See attack that does nothing on a successful con save, but 2d4 poison damage, and it poisons the creature for an hour, and knocks them unconscious until they are awoken for an hour. That's kinda nuts. There's no concentration required on that. That genuinely has quite a lot of utility and is the final reason why Pseudodragons are super cool and you should annoy your DM by trying to add one to the party at any opportunity. When you do manage to convince the DM that your Pseudodragon can come join you, you're going to need a cool little paper mini for the winged lizard, which luckily I can get you for free by heading over to my Patreon, jumping onto the free membership tier, and downloading the file, which is available right now. I am still new to that platform and getting things sorted out, but currently, for folks who are keen to flick me a few coppers per month, you'll also gain access to more paper minis, spell cards, DM tools, and monthly discounts on products from Zalgariath.com, where basically I refund you whatever you're paying me on Patreon to get off full price products there. There's probably going to be more to come, so please do go and check it out, and I'd love to see you over there. Now grab your dice, it's time to return to Rubbing on Empty. You and Bluey head back to the Ferry and Port Inn. The crime scene is no longer guarded with Alexis under arrest. As you heard, the guest room is in disarray. The window is open, the bed disheveled, and yes, the green burns on the sheets the guard said were the remnants of the copper Dragonborn's breath weapon are clearly visible. Give me an investigation check, DC 13, or a perception check, DC 15. Bluey will take whichever one you don't. And here's his roll.
Your turn.